Good afternoon, colleagues, and welcome to the meeting of the Energy and Environment Committee of the Los Angeles City Council. Today is Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. I am Adrien Nazarian, and I chair this committee. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Councilmember Nazarian.
Present.
Councilmember Yaroslavsky.
Here.
Councilmember Jurado is currently absent. Councilmember Rahman is currently at.
She's walking in.
And Councilmember Padilla. So 4 members and a quorum.
Great. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. So, colleagues, we have a total of 9 items on the agenda, and if there are no objections, I move to approve all items except one on consent. And let me give you a quick rundown. For items 2 through 4, 6 and 7, I recommend adopting the motions. For item 8, I recommend adopting the recommendations in the CAO report and adopting the attached ordinance. For item 9, I recommend adopting the recommendations in the CAO report. For item 5, well, before I continue, let me see if any questions on those.
Can I just pull item 3 for comments?
Of course.
Thank you.
Item 3? Okay. If we're good with the rest, then for item 5, I have some amendments to the second and third instructions in the motion that I'd like to read into the record right now. And it reads, I move that item 5 on today's E&E agenda be amended to adopt the following revised recommendation for the second instruction. I further move that the City Council instruct City Planning, LA Sanitation, Bureau of Street Services, the Department of Recreation and Parks, and the Department of City Planning to support tracking and maintenance of tree planting efforts, collaborate with Shade LA on the prioritization of selecting California native species to aid climate-driven biodiversity in their tree planting efforts. Instruct the Urban Forestry Division to track the rate of permitted and protected tree removals and provide recommendations for a limit on trees permitted for removal for development. And city plants needs to be there as well. And then delete the word free from the third instruction. And I'm happy to read that instruction just for the record. I further move that the City Council instruct the Department of Water and Power to report back in 45 days on the feasibility of providing free to be crossed out water throughout the duration of the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games by increasing the number of hydration sites at these shade structures throughout the city.
Do you need a second? I can second.
Thank you. Thank you. So what we'll do, so it's been moved second. We'll hold item 1 on the desk for a verbal report from LADWP. And do we have any questions on any of the items, any special aside from number 3? Nope. Okay. With that being said, let's move to public comment. Mr. City Attorney, if you can please read the instructions I can give public comment for giving public comment in today's meeting.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the public will have 1 minute per item to speak, up to 2 minutes total, and 1 minute for general public comment. We will tell you when your time is up. When speaking on the agenda items, you must be on topic. Our goal is to get through as many speakers as we can. If you are not speaking on topic, or if we cannot tell whether you are speaking on a specific agenda item, you will get one brief warning from me or the chair. If you do not immediately get clearly on topic or again stray off topic, the chair will cut you off and you will forfeit the rest of your speaking time, and we will move on to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. For anyone who would like to speak, please stand in the aisle, come to the speaker, mention your name and the item you'd like to speak on, and please speak for the duration of time. That will be given based on the topics you are going to discuss.
Good afternoon. I'd like all my time, please. So it's what, 2 minutes and then one? But it's all going to be, okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Diwali.
Hi, name
Hi,
please.
Okay, Audit LA. It's not my real name, but it's okay. Okay, so I am here I'm going to talk about a few things. Sorry, I'm kind of like really tired right now, but okay, about the shade campaigns. Okay, we need shade. It was really hot a few weeks ago. If you remember how hot that was, it was really brutal. And so I'm all for these shade campaigns, but I also see that it's kind of going along with how you are repurposing and making it more accessible, which is what we need. I want that. But Mrs. Nazarian, I have I'm going to make a video, okay, and I want to show you guys of how you guys are doing the accessible areas, and it's really making it harder for people in chairs. It looks pretty and it looks great, but because you're not taking on somebody that has, because if you don't take somebody or get the input of people who are in chairs, you might just think it's fine and there's nothing to worry about, but it's not. So I'm going to make a video of one spot in particular in Council District 2, and you'll recognize it when I do it. And it's not a criticism. I mean, I understand where it was done a few years ago, but it's just going forward. I'm going to just be really clear on what it's not helpful for people in chairs, if that's okay with you, sir. And I appreciate you if you really take it serious and listen. I also want to thank you for honoring Mary Garcia, who was an amazing neighborhood council president, and thank you for honoring her. The other one I wanted to talk about was the other shade one, and well, I guess we can move on. Nuisance properties. Okay, I'm going to talk about nuisance properties. If you have a property that is having events that is blasting woofers to where the neighbors are collectively calling in or writing in to either was it Miss Rahman's area or to Mr. Hugo's area because the music is so loud, they said that it vibrates their bones and that their walls, and there's no going around it. And this is at Scientology, mostly on L. Ron Hubbard Way, and even their own engineers said, yes, it's the woofers, okay? And even though the neighbors call and complain and complain and complain, there's no resolution. And so that's a nuisance, and other nuisances as well, constant close, when they close the streets and stuff. So I want to be mindful of that. And also when it comes to energy and water, they wasted 100,000 gallons of water 2 years ago because to get rid of protesters. Okay, I get they don't want protesters. I understand that. But you don't get to waste 100,000 gallons. It was so much water wasted. And from what I understand, no penalties, no fees, no fines, because just to get rid of peaceful protesters nonetheless. And it totally destroyed the sidewalk. I cannot go up and down the sidewalk on Fountain Avenue between L. Ron Hubbard Way and Catalina. I cannot traverse it because of water damage.
Thank you very much. Any other speakers? If there are going to be other speakers, please stand in the aisle so that we can get the flow going quickly. Hello, sir. Your name?
My name is Stanley Chapman. Good afternoon, board. I'm here to speak on Barclays Hotel. Been here before. I just want to thank you for.
You have 1 minute, please. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for all the work that you guys have been doing to help get DWP and AHF Foundation, who owns the building, power to the buildings that we can have it fully occupied. There is progress being made, but we're here and we show up every time until it gets completed. But thank you, DWP. Thank you, board, and we look for your continued support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No other speakers? Going once? Going twice? Public comment is closed. Thank you very much. Okay. We're ready to take a vote on the consent items. Mr. Clerk, I think, why don't you tell us what items there are to vote on?
It's items number 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
With the amendments on 5.
Yes, with the amendments on 5.
For item 6, which is about public nuisance properties in the city, I just had a question about why is it in this committee? What about this issue? Because it's been assigned to so
Because
many
LA
committees.
sanitation issues also, jurisdiction falls into this committee. Well, LA sanitation falls under the jurisdiction of this committee.
But this is about DBS, LAPD, and the city attorney. Right?
I don't have control over the referral.
No, I know. I just was wondering.
We just wanted to process it.
Got it. No, I appreciate that. It's just been, it's a good motion. I think it's important. This is the second or third committee that I've seen this in, so I just was curious whether you had any insight about why it was assigned to someone.
I think it has to do with LA San
Okay, all
and
right.
the
Appreciate
jurisdiction,
that
overlying
clarification.
jurisdiction, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Right, excited to move it forward. I think it's important. I just was perplexed to see it again. I thought I would have the wrong briefing document.
It's deja vu. All right. So items 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's a second by Ms. Padilla. Let's call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Aye.
And Councilmember Yaroslavsky,
Yes.
Jurado,
Yes.
Rahman, and Padilla.
Yes.
5 ayes, and these items are approved as you stated earlier.
Excellent. Let's go to item number 3. Ms. Padilla, for your comments.
Yes. So council members, I am so excited to have been able to put together this motion. It's something that members of my community wish would have happened many years ago, but here we are, and I'm just excited. For those of you who are not aware, Sun Valley is one of the most heat-impacted, park-poor neighborhoods in the city, and yet we have public land sitting idle right in front of people's homes and near schools. LADWP owns multiple parcels under its transmission lines along Ilex Avenue that are currently unfenced, unimproved, and underused, but they could be reimagined as community-serving assets. This motion is about turning forgotten spaces into functional, safe, and shaded places while maintaining LADWP's operational and safety requirements. And we know it's possible because we've seen them do it in other places. Now it's just time to make it happen in this part of Sun Valley. This land is already owned by the public. The question is, how can we maximize it for use for the public? Across the city, LADWP has shown it can work with neighborhoods to repurpose utility lands. For example, the Great Dog Park in CD2, community gardens, even shaded walking paths. We're asking them to do the same for this community in Sun Valley. This motion brings together LADWP, Recreation and Parks, Streets LA, engineering, multiple stakeholders, because we know activation doesn't happen in silos. It takes coordination and creative city planning. We're not proposing to build structures that interfere with operations. We're proposing to assess compatibility and to pursue uses like tree planting, shaded areas, places for seating, benches, or simple recreational zones that can coexist with LADWP's core mission. So I hope that everybody supports it, and I'm looking forward to seeing this as something that could get done within this generation, because I know things don't happen overnight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Padilla. There doesn't need to be a second for this, so it was already part of the consent item. It was just pulled for comment, so it's already been technically seconded, so ready for a roll call. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Nazarian.
Aye.
Councilmember Yaroslavsky,
Yes.
Jurado,
Yes.
Rahman, and Padilla.
Yes.
5 ayes, and this item is approved.
Great. So now we go to the item that we are going to be hearing. let's take up item number 1. Mr. Cieli, can you please read the agenda item?
Certainly. Item number 1 is a verbal report from the Department of Water and Power relative to Advanced Metering Infrastructure Program.
Great. Staff from LADWP can come up. Apologies that there isn't a desk, so you could sit comfortably and make a presentation, but please use the podium. And please remember to speak uncomfortably close to the mic, because between the echo in this room as well as the audio system, sometimes it's hard to hear.
So good afternoon, committee. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. We're excited to present on the Advanced Metering Infrastructure Program with the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. So I'm joined today with my colleague, Nicholas Alexander, who will be giving the presentation. My name is Claudia Uzama. I'm a Power Engineering Manager within the Advanced Technology Infrastructure Division of the Power System, LADWP. So as we all know, the utility industry is going through technological changes and advances, and the department is at this generational change where the Advanced Metering Infrastructure Program will play a major part in taking us on this journey to meet a lot of our critical goals, such as clean energy with the LA 100 program, improving and enhancing our customer service to the city of Los Angeles and the people that we serve, and also the ever-increasing load demands from electrification and all the other load-related things of the city. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Nicholas Alexander to take us through the presentation.
All right. So good afternoon, everybody. As Kadi said, my name is Nick Alexander, and I'm the project lead over the project team for the AMI program. And I'm excited to introduce and or update most of you on this department initiative, as Kadi was explaining, to support LADWP's vision for a smarter, more resilient utility future. So over the next few minutes, we'll walk through the AMI program scope, benefits, key milestones, and our readiness for deployment. All right, so our program objectives. So in alignment with the department's vision for grid modernization, and for those unfamiliar with the term, grid modernization means making the system that brings electricity to your homes smarter and better. It's like upgrading from an old flip phone to a cool new smartphone. So the power we use is faster, cleaner, and more reliable. And as part of that effort, the AMI program aims to empower customers with real-time insights and internally transform and enhance LADWP's water and power systems, focusing on improving grid visibility, reducing outage restoration times, and enhancing the overall customer experience. So in other words, if you ever had an outage, grid modernization means that you would have outages less often, and if you do have one, that we will be able to restore the power quicker. So the successful implementation of the AMI program relies on the deployment of critical infrastructure designed to enable two-way communication and real-time data collection. This includes the installation of over 1.5 million electric meters and 800,000 water meters, as well as around 2,200 pole-top devices that form the backbone of our AMI communication network. So to fully realize the benefits of AMI, the infrastructure must be supported by a strong, well-connected software system that connects all of our critical systems. Key components include integrations with our customer information system, or what we call CCB, the distribution and outage management systems, and in the future, the meter data management system and the customer usage portal. So together, these systems will transform AMI into a smart, connected network that improves operations, helps shapes our policies, and serve our customers. We will also have the ability to transition to interval billing in a future phase of the AMI program. All right, so some of our key milestones. So with both the infrastructure and supporting software systems in place or in progress, we've laid a strong foundation for delivering the full benefits of AMI. That groundwork has enabled us to hit major milestones and move towards full AMI deployment throughout our service area. So far, we made significant progress in our AMI initiatives. So key milestones include successful installation of the back office communication network equipment, deployment of around 4,200 AMI meters as a part of our pilot, and the full build out of our AMI communication network. And also meter deployment officially began in September and is currently underway with over 2,000 AMI meters deployed. So
Could you repeat that last sentence? Didn't hear you.
we've deployed over 2,000 AMI meters already. No, that was a part of our pilot, the 4,200. So now we're moving into our full AMI deployment phase, and we deployed over 2,000 so far. Yes, around 6,100, I think, is where we are today. So we're also doing an active outreach and community engagement efforts with both customers and stakeholders. And as we move forward, our focus shifts to finalizing remaining systems and integrations and preparing for the implementation of the future interval billing in a future phase. So these next steps are essential to delivering a smooth rollout and maximizing the long-term benefits of the AMI program. So as we deploy our AMI technology, the customers will begin seeing real measurable benefits, some immediately and others as additional systems and services come online. So right away, customers will benefit from enhanced outage response and communication. And for LADWP, early benefits include greater visibility into our system performance, faster outage detection, which means quicker restoration times, improved theft detection, and mitigating hard to access concerns. And the department will also benefit from reduced meter reader visits, enhancing employee safety, and reducing our carbon emissions. And over time, customers will gain expanded billing flexibility, including interval billing and monthly billing options, supporting easier budgeting and custom payment schedules. Together, these advancements mean better service, greater convenience, and increased transparency. Transitioning to our deployment readiness. So our meter installation efforts is a collaborative initiative across the LADWP with uniformed personnel leading the charge. These teams will be responsible for installing the electric meters while also continuing to support the build out and fine tuning of our AMI communications network. And as mentioned earlier, deployment kicked off in mid-September in LADWP's Lincoln Heights Construction District. And this area is located between the 101 freeway to the west, the 134 freeway to the north, and the 10 freeway to the south. So initial rollout will cover portions of Cypress Park and Elysian Valley. Our goal is to install approximately 170,000 electric meters, which is a full saturation of that area that would bring modernized service and greater energy insights to our customers. And throughout this process, we're prioritizing a customer-first approach by minimizing disruptions wherever possible. This includes careful coordination to reduce traffic impacts, maintain service reliability, and ensure a smooth experience for both residents and businesses. So the AMI deployment will consist of residential and small commercial customers. This scope excludes large commercial and industrial customers as they already have advanced meters in place. Nevertheless, they will be rolled over to the newer AMI technology in a future phase. And as I mentioned on the previous slide, we're starting with internal staff because they have the deepest knowledge of our meter routes. And this allows us to capture key lessons learned and refine their approach before the mass deployment contract begins, ensuring contractors follow a well-tested and efficient plan. Key considerations include ensuring strict safety standards, training field personnel of AMI functionality, and coordinating logistics with the meter setters, our internal stores, and the vendor, ensuring we maintain consistent inventory levels. This will ensure that we're keeping our deployment on track and avoiding any stoppages or delays. So our deployment approach. So as you can see on the map, the first deployment zones are in Cypress Park from Cypress Avenue to Avenue 37, and Elysian Valley, framed by Riverside Drive and the Los Angeles River. And please note these zones are based off our current meter reading routes. So this slide illustrates our deployment strategy. The red area highlights Lincoln Heights Construction District, which was selected as a launch point for the AMI deployment because it mirrors the diverse communities and infrastructure found across our broader service territory. The area includes a representative mix of old and new housing, commercial and residential properties, and the varying infrastructure conditions. The diversity provides an ideal community for identifying challenges and gathering insights that will inform and streamline future phases of the AMI deployment. The blue outline shows the full boundary of our service area, providing context for the broader rollout. And in the second image, the blue shaded areas represents how deployment will expand outward from the Lincoln Heights Construction District into neighboring communities. This phased approach allows us to progressively build out our AMI communication network while enhancing data accuracy, improving reliability, and strengthening overall system performance. So here we highlight our outreach strategy involving key stakeholders from LADWP leadership, including our Board of Commissioners and city officials, all the way to customers, across all phases of the AMI deployment to ensure alignment, transparency, and most of all, support from stakeholders in the communities that we serve. And here we outline a three-phase customer communication strategy, which is educating customers before deployment, ensuring transparent communication and support during installations, and reinforcing benefits and adoption after deployment. This is all aimed at building trust, minimizing disruptions, and encouraging customer engagement with the AMI tools. And to reach customers effectively across all phases, we're using a mix of communication channels, including printed materials, social media, email, and the LADWP website, ensuring consistent, accessible messaging throughout the AMI rollout. So lastly, as we look ahead, our focus remains on a thoughtful and strategic rollout. Key considerations include strengthening customer communication, finalizing our policies, and especially around opt-out options and refining our initial deployment logistics. We're committed to maintaining transparency by providing regular updates to our internal LADWP Board of Commissioners and other key stakeholders. And with continued coordination and engagement, we're confident in a smooth and successful AMI deployment. So just to summarize, LADWP is currently deploying approximately 170,000 meters in our Lincoln Heights Construction District, which began in mid-September. And as I mentioned earlier, we deployed about 2,600 so far. The rollout is designed to minimize disruptions to customers, including traffic and service interruptions. Communications with the community are being done right now. And once deployed, the new meters will help improve outage response times and enhance the ability to detect and address electric service issues more efficiently. And thank you. And if you need more information, you can visit our ladwp.com website or dial 1-800-DIAL-DWP.
Thank you so much for your presentation, but to both of you for your work on this and your presentation. We're gonna get to some questions on the committee, but before we do that, I want to take a minute and just ask what are the actions that the department is taking to protect the ratepayers throughout this transition?
So some of the things the department is doing is we're working closely with, or I should say, we're in communication with other utilities that have gone through this process. It's one of the perks we do have of being at the tail end of this technology is that we can learn from what other utilities encounter during this stage. Our CEO, Janice Quinones, has put together a steering committee because she has shown a personal interest in making sure that this goes smoothly, and it has representation from all parts of the department, LADWP. That way we can tackle any issues that come up as we go along. So we're making sure to follow all the processes we have in place to protect ratepayers that are there today, making sure we don't cut any corners, whether it's safety when we go to their homes to install meters, or whether it's our billing to make sure that the accuracy of the billing stays in place as we adopt new technologies, and all the tests that we have to put in place to ensure that we abide by all our policies.
Utilities, both public and private, or just public?
Both
okay.
Public and private.
Perfect, perfect. On the kind of rollout, when do you expect the rollout to be completed?
So I will say one of the main areas that we're looking into is the timeline. And we put out a request for information to the streets, and we've gotten responses from over 10 vendors. And typically they're saying it's within the range of 2.5 to 5 years for a utility of our size. But I will say that one of the main things being discussed at the steering committee is to expedite that process as quickly as possible. So right now we don't have a timeline set in stone, but that's the information that we have and what we're working on right now.
The 2 to 5 years, not considering things like the fires that just happened or the major projects like convention center or maybe even the major events that we're expecting to come in the next 3-year period.
So keeping all that in mind with the major events like the Los Angeles Olympics or the World Cup that's coming up and the major fires in certain areas, we are taking that into consideration. And the rollout being a phased approach, we will make sure to target the more critical areas. One of the main things that we're looking into to expedite the process, because right now it's all with in-house resources, is to bring on a vendor that can handle that expedition process. So, yeah.
Thank you. One last question. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to add, we're working closely with our legislative and intergovernmental affairs to make sure that we are staying in tune with the interests from the public and from city officials on some of those areas that should be addressed earlier than later.
Thank you for that. One last question before I turn it over to committee members is how did the DWP determine which meters to buy and which capabilities those meters will need to be able to enable? And then will the same vendor be used for the second phase of the rollout?
Sure. So in terms of the capabilities of the meters, the technology itself has been around for over 10 years now. So it's pretty standard across the board in terms of what's available to all the utilities. And so we were able to learn from what other utilities have gone through and how they develop those use cases that they have for their customers. The department does have our supply chain process. And for this project, we made sure we went through a competitive bid and we were careful to specify all the capabilities that we wanted these meters to have. And so we went through that evaluation process to pick the vendor that was the most suited for this rollout.
I asked this because during the course of development, there are a lot of concerns that come to all council offices, especially at a time when housing is so desperately needed and when there's a stall in the process. So when you undertake a major project like this, I just want to make sure that the appropriate planning and the appropriate vendors are identified that will be able to deliver so that it's not adding in any way. In fact, it's helping speed up or complement the project in light of there being sometimes deficiencies in adequately addressing issues when it comes to new development projects throughout the city. Different department, different components, but still the same expediency needed to make sure we're serving our clientele, but also making sure that the culture is such that within the entire department that's supporting that mission. So that's all. Thank you very much from my end. Ms. Rahman and then Ms. Yaroslavsky. Go ahead, please.
Sorry, I have
Ms.
a
Padilla.
hard out at 4:30, so I want to make sure I get my note. What happens if these servers stop working? Because when I look at this logic model on this screen, what keeps those from staying 100% operational?
So the technology we have is made up of 4 major components. We have the 4 major components. We have the actual smart meters. At the homes, we have the communication network. So there's devices up on pole tops and streetlight arms. And then you have the information technology, hardware and software. And then you have integrations to other systems like outage management, customer information systems, and things of that nature, billing systems. And so one of the steps we take is to make sure we have the main system at our main data center, and we also have a disaster recovery site outside of the state of California. And in terms of operations, we work closely with our IT department so that we have an operations center in place to monitor all aspects of the system. So just like we have an critical outage management system, we have a critical distribution management system, and all other IT systems, we apply the same process and steps for monitoring, which comprises of having a fully staffed and effective operations center to monitor all aspects. And another layer that we have in place at this moment is we call it managed services provided by the vendor itself that's behind the technology. So that way we make sure there's 24/7 monitoring of all aspects of the system. And then we work closely with them, including for things related to security, just making sure that there's constant intrusion detection and prevention. That way we're notified at any point if there's any issues with the system. So there's a number of pieces, and we just make sure we have a system that works.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. It almost sounds like you have different levels of security to make sure that it stays operational. So along those same lines, I want to ask, will this new system lead to analyzing data to create bill forecasts? And how protected is it from being hacked now that it's going digital?
So at this stage, we're at the stage of putting a platform together all the data. We do have some use cases that we have fully spelled out. And part of it is coming up with the data analytics tool so that we can do more testing and more planning around all the different things that we can benefit from just having all that data at a granular level. And so forecasting is one of the things that we could potentially look into, and we plan to. I'm sorry, I forgot the second part.
And the second part was how protected is it from being hacked?
Okay. And I would say the thing about cybersecurity is we always have to make sure that we have the right tools and systems in place to always monitor our system. We can never do more than enough to make sure that we're secure. So we do have a cybersecurity organization within LADWP, and we work closely with the Chief Information System Officer and make sure we apply all LADWP security policies in the implementation, the operation, and the maintenance of our IT components. And so part of it is making sure that we have a system that can detect any intrusions, if they ever happen, and have the tools to act on it. So, but we do follow industry standards too, just to make sure that we are putting the best approaches in place to severely minimize or prevent any forms of hacking.
Okay, and then two last questions. How will you use this AMI data to identify and target households for solar, battery usage, or energy efficiency programs, especially renters or multi-unit family units?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Sure. How are you going to use this data to identify and target households that can benefit from solar, battery storage, or energy efficiency programs, especially in places where homes that are renting or multifamily units?
So we do have those organizations within LADWP that run those programs. So it's a matter of working closely with them to identify homes and customers that could benefit from those type of programs. Right now, because there's just so much data that we'll receive from the smart meters, the sky is the limit in terms of what we could potentially do. So there's a lot of unknowns on our part on what we could do, but at the same time, we'll be working closely with industry, with some of the research institutes, like whether it's EPRI or other organizations, to learn from what they've done and put that into effect.
Okay, great. And then that's helpful. Sky's the limit. I get it. The last thing I wanted to know is related to customers and jobs. You mentioned that you've spoken to at least 10 vendors. Are these vendors local, and is there opportunities to create local job opportunities?
So we put a request for information out, and that's just to get responses from all vendors that are able to provide information. But when it comes to the actual contracting process, our supply chain services does put some steps in place to give job opportunities to some of the locally owned businesses. I think there's the supplier diversity programs. So that's one of the requirements for a good number of, if not all, LADWP contracts. So there will definitely be an opportunity for local jobs to be created.
Okay, thank you. And then lastly, the customer, will they be able to access their meter remotely? Will it be through an app or a website?
So right now there's plans to develop a customer portal. We have our customer service division within LADWP, and in our roadmap, we do plan to have interval billing available in sometime in 2028, and that's just because we're going through an overhaul of our entire billing system. And our current system doesn't have it's called the Meter Data Management System, which is pretty much the brains of AMI, and that piece is critical in building a customer portal. So what that looks like is customers should be able to see their usage through an app or online and be able to plan their usage accordingly as well.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you very much. Ms. Rahman?
Thank you so much. I had a couple of questions. I don't think I ever saw what were the documented service improvements from the pilot program, the 4,500 initial units that were part of the pilot. Were there improvements in outages, outage response? Were there improvements in billing accuracy?
So the pilot program was done with the intent of testing the integrity of the communication system. So,
sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. So the pilot program was done with the intention of testing the integrity of the communication network mesh. So at the time, we had gotten to a point where we had a significant amount of coverage. So we had meters spread across LADWP service territory just so that we could test the integrity of the communication network. So the lessons learned in that process were more along deployment, any potential issues with the communication network or with the meters and being able to access the meters. So we're now in the stage of starting the actual the official deployment and looking into billing and things of that nature. We do have documentation about lessons learned around deployment from the pilot project, but we didn't have the billing portion in place at that time.
Okay, and then will you be doing that kind of assessment for this first phase since you're deploying it in a specific place?
Yes, so we do plan to do that assessment because part of that is as we build out the contract for hiring a vendor to do a mass deployment, this is a phase where we can learn more about all those pieces and then incorporate that in the contract to provide proper oversight.
So you have a vendor that you're using to install these devices.
So at this point, all installations are with in-house resources, but the plan is to bring in a vendor to do all the installations.
Sorry, what is the vendor?
At this stage, we do not have a vendor, but the plan is to bring a vendor in to handle to expedite the deployment of smart meters.
And so the 2 to 5 years, is that for the whole city or just for this particular area?
So the 2 to 5 years is for the entire service territory of LADWP.
All of DWP service territory?
All of DWP.
And so when do you plan to hire the vendor?
So that's the process we're currently going through right now. We don't have a date for that at this moment, but we can provide one as soon as we have more information.
And what's the plan to figure out the date for that? Or like what needs to happen?
So there's a number of steps at LADWP for putting together a contract. We just have to go through the supply chain services process. There's we also have to work with our labor partners to come to an agreement on how that contract will play out. So all the conversations are going on right now to come to an agreement.
So how long will it be before you can hire the vendor? How long have you been engaging in this conversation already?
It's been a while. I would say it's been ongoing. I would say the official conversations I would say started earlier this year. There have been other conversations last year, but the official call the meet and confer process was started earlier this year.
And then I think you asked already about the costs to the ratepayer. I didn't hear an answer for exactly what the cost would be for the ratepayer, so I just wanted to ask again. Mr. Nazarian already asked this question, but are there going to be additional costs for ratepayers when they install this?
So that's something that we don't have detailed information on today because we work with our financial services office and we've provided presentations and information to them, and it's something they factor into their planning.
Okay,
So-
and for this kind of metering infrastructure, is this the kind of thing, is this, in terms of other utilities, is DWP ahead or behind the curve? Like, is this installed in a lot of other places already?
Installed in a lot of places already, so DWP is behind the curve.
Behind the curve.
That's correct.
And you don't have an estimate for when you'll have a vendor, and you don't have an estimate for when the process will be completed. I'm just trying to understand. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be accusatory, just trying to understand the situation.
We have an idea of how long contracts typically take within the department for these type of contracts.
To go through an RFP for this?
Right, we would have to go.
But
through
you haven't issued the RFP yet.
We have not issued the RFP for the deployment yet. And we are currently in the stage of learning from this process. And one of the reasons why we picked Cypress Park, Elysian Valley, which is in our Lincoln Heights construction district, is because it has a variety of different scenarios that our experienced crews would face, and all that information will help to develop an effective and efficient contract.
And just one last question, which is what this feels, metering infrastructure like this seems really important. I represent hillside neighborhoods, which have been extraordinarily impacted by outages. And almost worse than the outages has been the lack of information about when outages will be fixed, when issues will be addressed. Sometimes there's not even information on how many households are impacted. We don't get that information for a while. So for our district, this kind of infrastructure feels really essential to improvements overall and how you do repairs. What is driving this process now? Like, when was the decision made to move this metering infrastructure project forward? What is driving, who's setting the agenda around this? Did it come out of a council motion? Did it come out of GWP board action?
So it's been something that the department has been trying to do for over 10 years now.
For 10 years?
Yeah, this is actually our third attempt at this. I'm aware of two other efforts in the past. I think there was a program called the Smart Grid Regional Demonstration Project.
Sorry, the audio is so bad here. You're gonna have to repeat that. I
I'm
apologize.
sorry about that. So there have been a number of efforts that I'm aware of in the past, actually before my time, but one of them was the Smart Grid Regional Demonstration Project.
Smart Grid Demonstration.
Regional Demonstration Project.
What's the third word?
Regional.
Okay, Smart Grid Regional Demonstration Project. Okay.
So that
There's another pilot.
It was a pilot, and for a number of reasons, it didn't expand beyond that. But the main driver, I would say, this time around is that we have sponsorship from the very top. So
From the very top?
From the very top. So in the LADW, our CEO, Janice Quinones, and she mentioned this in the Board of Commission meetings last week, that she's taking a vested interest in making sure that this time it's done correctly and that it comes to fruition.
And
So
you didn't have that before?
we didn't have that type of support before. We didn't have the same level of involvement from the CEO themselves.
Okay.
So that's one major difference that we have this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Yaroslavsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for agendizing this. Thank you for the presentation. I'm very excited that this is finally happening. We know that getting real-time information on outages is really important. Having a smart system is really important. At the same time, the investment in advancing metering infrastructure is a huge opportunity for DWP to really improve system efficiency, customer engagement, integrate renewable energy and distributed energy resources. There's a lot you could do with this technology. One of my hopes is to make sure that the investments that DWP ratepayers are making actively helps achieve our LA 100 goal. As we know, this AMI investment is not going to be cheap, and so we should be asking questions about how to maximize the benefits in the context of our other goals as well, including our LA 100 goals. For example, we know that AMI can be deployed to manage EV demand load, help with data information, data-informed rooftop solar, et cetera, basically an intelligent grid that can do bi-directional energy flow, right? I mean, there's a lot we can do with this technology. There's evidence from AI deployment at other utilities shows that the benefits of AMI can be much greater than the benefits that DWP has outlined here if the department can effectively integrate and analyze the data that AMI provides. So what steps is DWP taking to build out the data management and analytics and programmatic capabilities needed to translate AMI data into actionable policies and programs that help LA achieve our broader goals of climate, equity, affordability, and resilience? Because this is sort of the tip of the iceberg of what it can do, and I want to make sure we're not undermining our ability to do that work later.
So, as you mentioned, yes, this is just the start. This is the tip of the iceberg, and so the department has created this steering committee that I keep mentioning to make sure that all parties across the department are represented at that meeting. And so all the programs, all the ones you went through, whether it's demand response, distributed energy resources, solar programs, are represented in that discussion. And so one of the perks, as I mentioned before, that we have is that we are at the tail end of the technology. We have the benefit of learning from other utilities that have gotten to that point, as well as working with outside vendors and experts in this field. So we also have a newly created research and development organization.
Can you say that last sentence again?
The department has also put together a research and development organization to start looking into things around ways of using data in new ways. So all the areas that we highlighted today are the ones that we have a roadmap for today. But our executive management at LADWP, that's correct.
And is the department developing a plan or a business case for the deployment that identifies the most ratepayer beneficial uses for AMI and really make sure? It sounds like you have this group, and is that going to be informed by the executive team sort of working together to figure out like where are we going with this?
It's going to be sponsored and championed by the executive teams, but we have a number of teams working together to put together this plan. We don't have the current detailed plan for all the other programs that you mentioned today, but it's on the roadmap, and the department is looking into a plan to achieve those areas.
Okay. So given that advancing metering infrastructure represents a really major step forward in modernizing the utility and improving service to customers, does the department have any specific needs or requests of the City Council that could help facilitate deployment readiness or reduce barriers or maximize the overall benefits of the AMI rollout for ratepayers in the city as a whole? What can we do that would be helpful, if anything, at this point?
I'd say one of the things that would be beneficial is to help communicate to constituents that might reach out to champion the program and help to relay the benefits of the program to them and all the great things that AMI has achieved at other utilities and industry in general.
I don't think any of my constituents are unhappy about this happening.
Okay.
But I appreciate that. I mean, I guess the last thing I just want to say is I want to underscore something that Councilwoman Rahman touched on, which is how important it is that this moves quickly. And I know that there's a process at DWP, and I appreciate and respect that process. But as you noted multiple times, we are way behind on this. And I'm thrilled that Janice Quinones is pushing this forward and that the executive management team is supporting her. We are so far behind on this, and it will be incredibly helpful when we're trying to manage a system in the 21st century. And I know my constituents are really excited about having real-time data communicated back and forth, and you all knowing exactly where the outages are and and all the other things that we can do with this technology. So thank you very much. No more questions.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for both of your presentations. Thank you for all the questions. As you can tell, there's a great deal of interest in this issue area and long anticipation as well. This was a item to be heard, so there's no action needed to be taken. So with that, thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.